More and more so, and especially if you're doing stuff on the cloud, you are discouraged from using user IDs and passwords. It's way too exposed to just be protected by that. So instead, the encouragement is to use public-private key pairs, particularly when you SSH into your remote location, which is what we're going to do. We're going to be logging, doing SSH from this Windows machine into a Azure instance. So I started by downloading from the Putty.org site. I went here and I downloaded the Putty from the official site. I installed it with the default. That's actually fairly simple. And when you do that, we're going to use two programs from there. PuttyGen first to generate the key pairs, and Putty to actually do the SSH. Let's start by using PuttyGen. So the default we are taking is RSA keys 2048, and when you click generate, you need to provide some entropy to the app, and you do that by moving the mouse randomly until you generate enough entropy for it to create the actual keys. Okay, so here are the keys, and now you need to save them. So you save the public key. I'm going to put this, and this is what you send. You will see that in Putty you do that automatically, but you send this public key when you are authenticating. So let me put that one on the desktop, and I'm going to call it public key. Saved. Now I'm going to say the private key, but the private key, is the secret to your authentication, so you should always protect it with a passphrase. So every time you use the private key, is going to ask you to put that passphrase, an extra security. I'm not going to do that in this short demonstration. So, well, in fact, you see when I do save keys, say, you sure you want to do that? And I say, yeah, go ahead. So I'm also going to put it on the desktop, not the best place to be placed. So this is my private key. This is the longer key, the big, it's much longer than the private key, and that's what this is called, asymmetric cryptography, because the public is more shorter than the private. Now, we don't need the Putty anymore. We have our two files in here, or key pair generated. Now what we need to do is actually go to the actual Putty. Oops, typing this right. Putty, the actual Putty itself. So here in Putty, we need to obviously specify the IP address that we want to connect to, and this is the Azure instance that I'm working with. Notice that the default is SSH, but you need to tell it how you are going to be, where are the key pairs. When I created this instance of Azure, I provided my public key. So when I'm logging into it, I need to provide the proof that I have the private key to the site, right? And you do that by expanding this SSH section here, and yeah, let me expand these. You go under auth, that's authentication, and in here where you specify where does your keys reside. So you click here, browse, and you put desktop, and you put actually the private key, and basically we can go back to the session, and now we can actually authenticate now that we have specified where the keys are. You can actually save that session as I did before. I put this manage host in Azure. because that's what we're going to be using it to authenticate against. And you can save this so you don't have to specify all this every time that you use Putty to SSH into the box. Let's actually go ahead and do that. And when you click open, I need to provide the user ID that I specified for that instance. Oops, let me paste, click here. And this is case sensitive normally. And pink, notice that I am into the machine. The machine is called unique 2, and I didn't have to put anything other than during the Putty session I prove that I have possession of the private key that matches the public key that I used when I created the site. So that's what you should use to authenticate with a public private key. Again, there are multiple ways of doing this. I'm showing this in Windows, but there are primitives in Mac OS and Linux and all the system to generate. But once you understand how this works, I'm sure you, if you need to do it in any other platform, you're going to be able to take it from here.